Stampers, Deb Valder here, your Fun Stampers Journey Coach, and today I'm going to show you how to do another tunnel card. I absolutely love this card. It is just so interactive and just so easy. I did this at my stamp camp and everyone fell in love with it. Do you see this? This is the tunnel right in there, Z card. What else do they call them? They call them tunnel cards, Z cards, flip-flop cards, you know, because this little guy right here flip-flops out. They're just so awesome. So there's one I did as a thank you because these two sets, or these two pieces come together as a set. And this one I did in just a black and white card because you know how much I love black and white, all right? And I'm just going to show you how to put it all together. Let's start with the embossing because I have my heat gun ready to go, and we're just going to take a piece of cardstock and stamp on it. So let me get out my black licorice ink and all of my embossing stuff. Now, when you emboss with our inks, you need to do it quite quickly because when you do this, our inks dry so fast, you want to get the embossing powder on there. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to take this, we're going to take our little stamp. Remember, this is an ATS, which stands for Artist Trading Stamp. And it just means it's one of our smaller ones. It's $7.95, and in this particular one, you actually get 2 stamps with it. There's one that has 19 stamps in it. It's one of our ATSs, and it has 19 stamps for $7.95. So I'm just going to show you real quick how to ink this up. And everybody knows how to emboss, but I'm just going to show you from beginning to end how I did this card. All right, ink it up. And then we want to get our embossing powder on right away. Okay, you can let it set now and then do what you have to do. But for this one, I'm just going to take and show you real quick. I'm going to take and stamp this little thank you. Okay, and ink that up just like that. And then we're just going to heat emboss it. Okay, so let me just grab this out of the way here. There we go. Alrighty, so let's just take and heat emboss this. There we go. Now you don't want to, this is not a hair dryer. Do not wave back and forth, because if you do, what's going to end up happening is you're not going to know where you heat it and where you didn't heat it. All right, we want to get a nice even heat. So as it turns, hang on one second, let me just grab my, I use these are chip clips, and I just use these to hold. My fingers were getting just a tad bit hot. So let's put our little chip clip on there. Mickey hands, Mickey hands. Okay, so let's just, okay, now do you see how kind of wonky your paper gets when it you emboss it? I'm just going to show you a little secret. If you take and you emboss it underneath it, it straightens out your paper. It actually straightens out your paper. So just reheat it on the bottom and see how flat it is now? All right, so we've got that all heated. What I'm going to do now is just clean up just a little bit because I want to put my stamps out of the way along with my heat gun, and we are going to color. So let's take this and grab my little block. This is just an old block that I have. I'm going to add some of my color. So I'm going to take my creamsicle, and you really don't need that much. So I'm just going to take and put a little dab, because a little dab will do you. And then I'm going to take my Tangerine Fusion, and that's my lighter of the oranges. This is my darker. This is just a tiger lily, so I'm going to make, these are the things you find on the side of the road, at least here in upstate New York. And then I'm just going to take some sweet pear, not very much because I don't have that many leaves, all right, or stems or whatever. And then I'm just going to take some lemongrass, and that's going to be my darker of the two, all right? And that's all you really need. Now I'm going to take some of my Fusion Blender, and I just make a line right across here because remember, I don't fill up my, I do not fill up my brushes. All right, so I'm going to take a medium one, and because I have so many little tiny things, I'm going to take a small one also. All right, this is not rocket science. This is so stinking fast. I'm going to grab my little cloth here because that's what I just kind of clean on as I go. I'm going to make sure that my brush is clean, and I do that by putting it in the Fusion Blender and then just wiping it on my little cloth. So let's just load up my my brush with the Fusion Blender, grab my lighter of the two, and I'm just going to color in where I think the light should be. All right, and that's kind of on the part that goes on the outer part. The light is going to capture the outer part, so this is the lighter of the two. And I'm doing this pretty quickly, so you know me, I like to do more than one. I actually have 6 cards cut out ready to go because I have some things that I need to send out to people. So I always do videos on things that I need to get done. So I'm killing 2 birds with 1 stone, and I absolutely hate that saying, killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Now, where that ever came from, I have no idea. All right, so I'm just grabbing my Fusion Blender and just adding it to the parts that I think need to have the light. All right, you'll see what I mean in just a minute. And that's how fast this is. All right, just lightly putting it here, there, and yonder. I am absolutely not, as you guys know, an artist. So people that are artists that happen to be watching this, I know you're cringing. Okay, now see how much darker that is? But that is literally going to blend. That's why we call it Fusion Blender. All right, it's fusing the colors together. It's blending them together. I'm just adding dark on the outside and blending it into the light. And then I'm going to take and put my dark here in the middle. And when it starts to dry, it is going to be absolutely gorgeous. All right, so here we go. Yep. Alrighty. So far, so good. Now, you'll notice on my original card here that I did add a couple of extra tiger lilies, and all I did was stamp those on scrap paper, cut them out, colored them, and we are cooking with oil. And just popped them up. Really a neat way to do a dimensional card, you know, just adding it a little bit more of a dimension to it. Alrighty, pick up some more. See how I'm using the darker for the edges so that the inside looks like it is lighter? And this will dry lighter. See, like these over here, they just dry. So this is really wet right here. You're going to see when you get it done that it is going to be much lighter. So I think I've got all my flowers done. Remember, I'm just going to dab that into the cleaner and clean it off onto my little thing right there. Okay, onto my little cloth. Okay, so now let's start with let's get some of that off of there. I'm going to start with the green, the light green. Okay, so this is the sweet pear, and I'm just picking that up without any, because it's really a light color, so I'm picking that up without any of the Fusion Blender. And then I'll just go back in and add some highlights with the darker. And that one is the lemongrass. All right, so let's just put this in here like this. Alrighty, so see how fast that was? All right, so now I'm going to just pick up a little bit of the, now this is where, now see, this is the medium brush I have. Now I'm going to go and I'm going to use the little guy. So I will pick up a little bit of the Fusion Blender, okay? Pick up a little bit of the green, and then in the parts that I think are like shaded by either the flower or where they have like little dark spots here, you're gonna add just a little bit of dimension, just so your picture doesn't look so flat. See? And then when it dries, it just all blends together. And the reason I'm doing this first is because I do want you to see the difference between when we first started, then we'll put our whole card together, and then you're going to see the difference between the two of them. They are just gorgeous. Okay, there we go. Just a little bit down here. It's kind of, there we go. Alrighty, I think that's good. You can see how it's already blending together. There. Alrighty, so we're going to let that dry, and I'm going to show you the mechanics of this car. Now, let me just show you one thing I always do. I always take the Fusion blender, add it to my little brush right here like this, to both of them, you know, cleaning it off, but also what you're doing. Have you ever had one of these brushes in the ends just go poof? Mine never do. Mine, because I have this nice, I don't know, oily stuff, I'm not sure what it is, but I add that to it and then put the caps on it, and the little brushes stay just as beautiful as can be. What I love about the small brush is I will take this and I'll run it along one of the ink pads. So if my black line didn't come out, what I would do is run this across the I would run this across the ink pad and then just finish up my line. And it's so much better than a marker, because with a marker it bleeds a little bit. So this line and this line, they don't meet. They meet because you've added the color to it, but the middle where you've done it kind of bleeds a little bit, so it's fatter than the other lines. Am I making any sense? These work so much better. I'm just going to tell you, they just work so much better. Trust me. All right. So, well, here, let me just show you. I've got a black licorice pad here. I don't have a line that doesn't meet, but let me just grab this and I'm going to show you. So this is my small brush, and that's why it's really important to have a small brush. I'm just going to take and I'm going to just run it across this like that, across my my ink pad, and then, so let's say point A and point B don't meet. I'm just going to take this, and as light and as fine as it can be, it adds that absolute beauty to it. All right, so then you finish off your you finish from point A to point B. That's just a tidbit for you. I'm not sure if it'll help or hurt or whatever. All right, so I'm just going to take and clean that off. Oops, that wasn't good. All right, so I'm going to clean that off. It doesn't hurt my ink pad, but I just didn't want black on there. All right, so I'm going to take and put my black ink pad away. I'm going to take and put my brushes away, and see, when you put the top on, there aren't going to be any little things that are sticking out. All right, so it makes the brush just last so much longer. Just kind of bring it to a point right here, and then stick it in. See how beautiful that is? And then just stick it in here, and you are good to go. So we're done with our inks, and now what we're going to do is put our card together. So let me just leave that there so that you know what we're working on, okay? And let me bring in my cutter. And by the way, if you're looking at this in 2016, in September 2016, our cutters, our tools, our adhesives, until the end of September, they are on sale. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my piece of white cardstock, and I am going to cut. I'm going to take and let me just push out my little arm right here, okay? And I do that by just pressing those two little buttons right here. We do have a second arm down here, awesome sauce, so you can line up long pieces of paper. But this right here, what I need to do is I need to cut it 5.5, okay? And that's where this little line, this little dotted line is. Love this cutter, okay? So we're gonna cut it at 5.5 by 6.5. This is so easy, all right? So our 6.5 inch mark is right there, and we're gonna cut it 6.5 by 5.5. And now I'm just gonna grab this, and we're gonna take our scoring blade, and I'm gonna score it at 1/2, okay? I'm gonna turn it, and I'm gonna score it at 2.5. So it's 1/2, 1/2, not 1.5, 1/2, 2.5, and 4.5, which is right here. All right, so we have our scoring marks at 1/2, 2.5, and 4.5. All right, okay, to put our blades back, here we go. Gonna stick that back on there, simple as pie. Now what we need to do is we need to score it. So we're gonna take the 1/2 inch mark is right over here. We're gonna take this one, and we're going to fold it over to meet this little guy right here, okay? So we've got this one right here. We're going to fold it over. Whoops, grab my little crease tool. We want good creases on this one. And then this one is going to go the opposite way, all right? So we're going to just line that up and get our crease tool. And here we go. Now, I'm not going to do anything with this one yet because we need to cut this. Now, if you've got a good cutter, you can take and you can cut this crease. Let me just do it, all right? We're going to take and we're going to cut this crease. And what I like to do is to leave about 1/2 inch on the top. Not 1/2 inch, about 1/4 inch, okay? So we're going to line up this right here, okay? this little score mark. You can do this by hand, but I'm going to just show you how you can do it on your cutter too. So I'm going down a little bit less than a half right there, okay? And we're going to go down to, let's see, we're going to go down to, you know what, I'm going to cut another 1/4 of an inch off of this. So I'm just going to go down to probably 5. All right, and I'm going to actually cut a 1/4 off of this because I don't want it to go to the very top. So I'm going to cut this off at 5 1/4 instead of 5 1/2. Okay, oops, let's just roll those back up there. All right, so let me just go over that again. This is 5 1/4 by 6 1/2. It's still scored at 1/2, 2 1/2, and 4 1/2. All right, whoops, let's put our, I love how those just pop right on there. All right. So now what I'm going to do is, I've got this little guy right here and right here. We're going to take and we're going to cut this off on one end. Let's grab our scissors. We're going to cut this off. Hang on one second. We're going to cut this off right here. Alrighty. And you can go at an angle if you want. Alright. And what I mean by that is you can go just like that and you can go just like that. Alright. And then we have this piece that looks just like that. Alright. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to take this piece right here and we're going to add it to, let's get rid of that and that. All right. So now what we're going to do is we're going to add, remember, this is 5 1/4 by 6 1/2. We took, and the 1/2 inch mark right here, you want to take and cut off this big piece right here. And I do have another video with the cupcake. I don't know if you checked it out, but that's another good one with the tunnel card. All right. But now we've got all of this. We've got this cut out. Now what we need to do is add it to our card base. So let me just show you what we started with. Okay, we started with a 1/2 sheet of cardstock, and you know I usually have my cards that open like this, but for this one, what it is, it's 5 1/2 by 8 1/2 and scored at, let me just find the one that isn't cut yet. All right, so this is what I started with, okay, 5 1/2, 5 1/2 by 8 1/2, scored at 4 1/4. All the measurements are going to be on my blog, okay? And then what I did was I took one of our squares, okay, or our rectangles, okay, this is our journey rectangles. There's 12 of them in here, all right? And what I did was I just cut out that piece right there. And you're going to save this piece that you cut out, all right? So we're going to cut that out. And then what you're going to have, let me just put this aside, what you're going to have is, when you cut it out, you're going to have this piece right here. Now remember, you're going to save this piece, all right, because we're going to use it. All right, so we have our 1/2 sheet of cardstock, cut that out. Now let's glue this in here. So we're going to get our Easy Glide, and now this is the way it goes. There's our valley, and there's our mountain. The valley side, what we're going to do is we're going to turn it over, and we're going to put our adhesive close to the crease mark over here, and we're going to put it close to the edge over here. All right, and then we're going to take and just line it up with our card. And that's why I cut it down to 5 1/4, because I wanted that little edge right there to be the same as that little edge right there. All right. In my cupcake card, we had it going all the way to the edge here and all the way to the edge here. So I just wanted to show you something a little bit different. Okay, so now it's glued to this. Now we've got to glue it on this side. The biggest mistake is to fold these backwards. We don't want to do that. We want to keep these out here just like that. Now what I'm going to do, because this is a mechanical card, I'm going to take my white strips liner tape right here, and I'm just going to put that on here because I want it to be, I don't know, nice and sturdy. Okay, so I'm just going to take and put those pieces on here just like that. And when I say I want you to be very careful, I want you to be very careful. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is, let me just make sure it's all going to fit. What you want to make sure is that nothing sticks out here and nothing sticks out here. If it does, if these two little tabs aren't small enough, just trim them off a little bit more because you don't want that to go through. And I'll show you why in just a minute. So now I'm going to take my bloom tool. I'm going to I'm going to take and just rub that just burnishes it, and then the tape comes up, the tape top comes up with no problems at all. All right, this is the best tape out there. All right, so now what I'm going to do, now this is the best part, this is just so way cool. All right, so we've got our little piece like this. Leave your tabs out. Do not flip them back, okay? Now what we're going to do is we're going to fold this over just like this, okay? Rub right here, rub right there, and now watch. When you open it up, there is our tunnel card. See? Isn't that awesome? All right, now what I want to do is I just want to take my, my little scoring tool right here and just reinforce that, and we are good to go. All right? So now what we're going to do is, isn't that awesome? That's my little card right there. So now what we're going to do is we're going to start adding our layers to it. Now, when you write on it, you can write on here, you can write on just here. If you looked at my my cupcake card, I only did it here, but you can actually put your whole message right here. And let me just show you what I mean by that. You don't want to put it over here because we're going to put something there, but you can literally put your message on both sides, okay? So you can lay this flat and stamp on this before you actually start your folds, and it comes out just beautiful. All right, so now let's take the rest of our pieces. Remember I told you that we had, I'm going to bring in, let's see, all of these pieces right here. So this is the piece, let me grab one that isn't put together yet. Okay, so remember I told you that you had, this is the piece that fit in here absolutely perfect. All right, I told you to save that piece. It's very important because that's going to be our anchor to this card. All right, so I'm going to take that. I cut another piece here, and I do have the measurements on my blog. Okay, we're going to take and we're going to put these two together. So I'm going to just take my Easy Glide, and all right, we're going to put these two together just like this. All right, now we're going to take this piece and add it to this. All right. I'm just layering. I love layers, especially on black and white cards. They're just so pretty. Okay, so there's my black one, and then let's find our card that, or our piece that we just see how it's already starting to dry. And later, after it dries, totally, it's going to be awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. So now we have one more layer, and that's this layer right here. And you'll notice that I didn't use any dimensionals on this. I did on my extra pieces right here, but this card has so much going for it right now that I just thought too many dimensionals would be like way too much. All right, so I'm just going to very carefully line that up, okay? See how, oh, I got orange on me because it wasn't dry. All right, so you know what's going to happen right here and right here because I just went like that? We are going to add some extra flowers, all right? So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take and I'm going to glue it to this piece. Now, this is very, very, very important. You do not want to put glue on all of this, otherwise you will glue your whole card shut. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take and I'm going to put adhesive right here and right here, all right? Just on this white piece. Now the next thing, it is very important that you just fit this in here just perfectly, all right? So you just slide it in there just like that, and when you're done, this is the way it's going to look, all right? So we just put our adhesive on that one side. Do you see? Oh my gosh, I really made a mess out of that, but not to worry because I am going to take and I'm going to put lots of little flowers all around, okay? There's never a card that you can't fix. I just need to say that. You can fix anything. And I just rushed this one along a little bit. It was still a little bit wet. And you can also leave it black and white, remember? Like this one. You can leave it black and white because black and white, and this I did use as a sympathy card. So I'll be able to write inside here something very nice as a sympathy card. But like I said, don't look at all the little spots because I am going to fix that like you wouldn't believe. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you one more trick, all right? I'm going to take my messy one, get it out of the picture, and then I've got to be very careful because I've got all of that all over me. It just takes a little bit to dry when you're using the Fusion Blender. That's all I want to say, all right? And I was just rushing it. Now, when you go to put this in a card, this is something that I like to do because people might not know that this is an interactive card like this. So if I lay it flat like this is liable to go underneath there, and they're going to try to open it like this, and it's going to just be really hard. So what I like to do is to take a little piece of scrap paper and just stick it inside there like that, and then put it into my envelope. And what this does is it prevents it from going inside there, so that when they open it up, it automatically pops up like this. This is just a good little tip for these tunnel cards, because like I said, if it goes under, they might not know. See, if I put it like that, when they go to try to open it, they might try to open it as a regular card and it might not work for them. So if you have this piece under here like this, they have no choice but to like say, oh my goodness, what are we doing here? Boom, it opens. And see, that falls out, and then you're good to go. And there's your card. Okay, so with that being said, let me just get rid of my little extra piece of paper. Let me get my surface here really clean. And just to say, I hope you like my tunnel card. It is just an awesome card. We did this in Stamp Camp. They loved it. And I hope you do too. If you have any questions, you know how to get a hold of me. Give me a call or email me. And have a great day. Bye.